This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
Guys, I am super excited today. This is an organization that I have been wanting to share, and I have shared it when I talk to people. I have the CEO, Lindsey K. Hey, how are you doing, Lindsey?
Good. How are you?
Good. She has an organization that has two of my favorite things. One, a lot of people know that I was in the Marine Corps. I talk about it quite a bit. So she's helping veterans. And then number two, she's helping shelter dogs, turning them into service dogs, and then helping veterans that are suffering from PTSD and brain injuries. So this is like, this is going to be like an easy podcast for me in heaven on this. So I really appreciate you coming on, Lindsey.
Absolutely. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah. So you as a non-for-profit entrepreneur, you founded, now did you found Paws and Stripes? Did you found it in 2010 or did you have another organization?
I founded Paws and Stripes in 2010. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. And then you founded at the age of 24, and you've served as the CEO for, what is this, like over a decade now?
You know what? As of today's Friday, yesterday was our formal 10th birthday as an organization.
Oh, that's awesome.
So solid decade. Yeah.
Yeah, you've made it a decade. That's what percentage of nonprofits make it for 10 years, you know?
Gosh, I certainly don't know. I mean, I think that when we made it over, and I'm sorry for my birds in the background.
Oh, no, that's perfect.
When we made it past or to really our 5-year mark, that alone was just a huge milestone, because I know that oftentimes in that 3 to 5 year block is when you kind of make or break what you started. So once we got past 5 years, we felt like we really, okay, we got this. You know?
Yeah, you kind of get all the kinks and stuff out. But you, so obviously you must have worked in veterinary clinics because I have your bio right here, and it said that it taught you the deep healing power of rescue dogs, which translated into a one-of-a-kind curriculum, and you utilize mental health treatment plans, education, case management to transform the lives of veterans and shelter dogs. This is what's cool. You've literally seen hundreds of individuals, both veterans and their family members, receive services from Paws and Stripes. And I kind of want to, no one likes this part, but I always like to give, if you've had recognitions or awards, I always want people to know that. 2013 Association of Fundraising Professionals, Young Not-for-Profit Professional of the Year Award, the 2015 40 Under 40. Then you got the Under 30 recipient of the 2015 Local Red Cross Real Heroes Award, the 2018 C-Suite Award for Nonprofit CEO, which is hard to get, and recognized as Glamour magazines. Is this like the official Glamour magazine?
It's the official Glamour magazine. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You got 2015 New Mexico Hometown Hero. So did they do like pictures of you? Did you have to like get glammed out or?
No, it was, I sent a headshot in and basically did a mini interview with them, and they did a little featurette online on their website. Oh,
that's awesome. Yeah. So you've got tons of awards. I kind of want to go back because like I told you off the air, I do have, typical, I always make fun of I'm older, but I always make fun of the young entrepreneurs that are coming up, and I have to sit there and share with them how hard it is, and you've got to grind, and you got to have passion. You can't get money, within a month or two, and you work 30 hours a week. I kind of want to go back to 2010. You were 24 years old. What caused you to get this desire to start a non-for-profit organization?
2010 was a kind of a tumultuous year in my life. I was sort of starting my life over, having just moved to New Mexico, was newly married, and I had a job working part-time at a veterinary clinic, which was sort of that continuation of my work with animals. And then, I had a family member who had recently been discharged from the Army and was suffering from this new diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder and a brain injury and all of this other stuff, and was trying to cope with the fact that they were now living as a civilian, which was a huge transition. And it just sort of made sense in my head for a while that a dog could make a big difference there. So it was kind of a a trial and error in the beginning of, well, what if we tried this? What if we tried, you know what, I'm just going to adopt a dog for you and see if that helps. Well, sure, that helped, but I felt like we could do more. I researched the fact that you can actually have dogs trained to provide a real service to someone with disabilities. But it's a very difficult thing to attain because there's only so many service dog organizations in the country. It's not something that insurance is going to pay for, and it's wildly expensive out of pocket, typically looking at anywhere from $15,000 to, at that time, even $60,000 for a dog. So it was this kind of light bulb moment of what if we just try to do this ourselves? So I found dog trainers and thought maybe we'll help a couple people. But by the end of 2010, I couldn't keep up with the calls and the emails because the realization was that there's so many men and women that really want access to this sort of service. And it just really kind of took on its own momentum. It's so funny because, we're 10 years in now. It was such a small idea then of, work part-time, do this charity on the side, see if we can help a few people. And before I knew it, I had to quit my job and do it full time, though I didn't have a salary until about a year and a half later. There was a period where we were homeless and I was borrowing a friend's camper and trying to run this fledgling organization out of a camper. It was wild. The fact that we were trusted as easily as we were meeting with people in Applebee's and Starbucks and whatnot was really remarkable, frankly.
Yeah, I know, especially when you said Applebee's.
Right? Exactly.
10 years ago, that was probably kind of halfway cool, but but no, yeah. So here you are. You're 24. You quit your job. You said you were like homeless.
Yeah. So, my husband at the time was applying for his disability. I wasn't really making enough part-time in my position. So we were really having a hard time making ends meet. And there was a period where we just didn't have a place to live. So we spent some months borrowing a friend's camper and living out of that with, I think I had 3 or 4 dogs at the time. I've always had just a ton of dogs, I tell you. So it was a real humbling experience. But I will say, and so the risk to quit my job, even though I wasn't making a whole lot, was pretty huge. And I was just very convicted that what I was doing with this concept with Paws was just too important to let go of. And I was really kind of at a make or break moment that I'm either going to move forward with this and fully commit myself and just hope that this will work out or,
Right.
I'm not going to be able to give the attention it deserves and needs right now if I'm kind of spreading myself thin. So I took that leap of faith and it took some time, but it absolutely has paid off. And like I said, by the end of 2010, we had been invited to attend the Oprah Winfrey show. We were invited to walk in the New York City Veterans Day Parade. We were on Chuck Scarborough's NBC Nightly News. We had a writer who was interested in potentially writing a book. We had people contacting us about doing documentaries. I feel like there's other stuff too. It was just wild. So it happened so fast. It was like a storm, and trying to manage keeping the organization moving in the way that it needed to. I'm also learning as I'm going, and keeping up with the momentum of just the media attention was really crazy. And it feels like a million years ago.
Well, of course, but that's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel like they have to have before they take that leap of faith, because that's what you did. They have to have everything. I need to have this much money in the bank, and I need to do this, and I need to learn all about accounting, and I need to know. So, did you have some idea of how to run an organization, or you go, "This is just my passion. This is what I'm going to do. Let's do this."
I was so green. I was so wet behind the ears. I really, really cut my teeth in nonprofit in the most just real way. We were homeless, so we didn't have, discretionary funds of any kind.
Right.
So we really just, when I say leap of faith, I don't know how else to describe it in every way that we moved forward, because I had this small group of volunteers that worked with me to, set up booths at events, adoption fairs and whatnot, wherever people would kind of let us join in front of PetSmart or Sunday Fun Day in Rio Rancho or whatever, trying to give out dog biscuits and just asking for donations. Didn't understand fundraising development, the fundamentals of that, really just completely green in the whole idea of the whole concept of running a nonprofit, much less starting a new business. And truly, you're doing a startup business, whether it's nonprofit
Right.
or not. There's certainly things that are different, but it's really risky. It's scary. And I had to just really learn to pivot hard and to learn every time I tripped so that I could do better. And I was very fortunate to be surrounded by some amazing people that taught me a lot through the course of the last 10 years, and what a journey that's been. So, yeah.
Now, when you were, handing out dog biscuits and doing all these fairs and stuff like that, was it just like, okay, we need money. This is what we need to do. I know I need to hire trainers, and I've got to do all these things. We're getting all these calls and all this attention. Did it seem like overwhelming? What was I know this was 10 years ago, but what was going through your head? Was it like, I've got to do this, and so I'm going to put my head down and just move forward the best I can? Or what was going that process?
I think that surely, yeah, it was overwhelming, but I was just so on fire and so excited about what we were seeing come from just interactions with veterans coming in with interest, seeing these dogs find new homes. And it was like a wildfire, right? I was just chasing that, and I was so in love with what was happening that I'm sure there were a lot of moments of overwhelm, but I don't even really, those don't have a huge foothold in my memory, just because, I just remember how incredibly exciting and motivated I was during that time. So I think that I just kind of went through it and rode that wave gladly. Today, 10 years later, I get overwhelmed when, we have to navigate a pandemic. That's what I think about when I think about overwhelm. Right. But in the beginning, there were times that were really stressful, but there were just so many really beautiful and gratifying moments with other people and with veterans and with their family members that's what's rooted in my mind when I think about how it all started, and just kind of fascinated throughout the whole, first couple years at how organically it all came together. Truly, it just kind of really took on a life of its own.
Well, I think, yeah, because you had something, because you said that a service dog is 50 grand. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, this is a need. Who can pay $50,000, for a dog, especially if you're a retired veteran or, you're struggling and, you've working at Home Depot, or something like that no one would be able to afford that.
Absolutely. The entire concept itself 10 years ago was much more novel. It was a much more novel idea to address trauma in veterans through the use of service dogs. Animal assisted therapy had been around, but even that was a little bit novel, in the grand scheme of what we're accustomed to doing to address PTSD and how do we navigate brain injuries and all of that. And then back then we weren't even talking about sexual trauma, right? So, and we've since incorporated that into our mission, but it was just a very new way to look at it, because, what we kept hearing over and over again from veterans was, I'm tired of being a pilled out zombie. And truly, I'm at the end of my rope. I can't tell you how many times I heard people say, I'm at the end of my rope. And this is literally my last ditch effort to try to get some sense of normalcy and quality of life back for myself and my family. And it's, let's get you a dog, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
know, when I got out of the Marine Corps, it was the same scenario. I was in Somalia, Bosnia, and Haiti, and saw a lot of war and stuff like that. So whenever I got out, of course, there's concussions and stuff like that, and so you get this foggy feeling, and then literally I spent probably 3 months going like 2 or 3 times a week to the VA hospital
Mhm.
and 13 different types of medications and stuff like that. And finally I was like, screw this. I don't feel right. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I started getting like panic attacks and all that stuff. So it's this real craziness. And so finally, and that was kind of one of the things whenever I got a dog, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is something that I have to be responsible for. This
Yes.
is something that I have to take care of. This is something that I can love, that has unconditional love back. And so I think that's what's so beautiful about the program. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit because I imagine there's probably more veterans and more dogs than you could probably get. I imagine there's tons of veterans that need this service, and there's a lot of shelter dogs. So the bottleneck probably is the funds to be able to have to be able to pair these up together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's no, we don't have a hard time finding a lot of dogs that are candidates. And we certainly don't struggle with finding veterans that need it. So yeah, in order to support the structure of that, we have to be able to fund those services, which as a service-based organization, this is what we do is provided through the work of people who are doing the dog training, doing the case management, doing the mental health. So to be able to support those professionals to implement these services is crucial. And if we can't fund that, then the program's not possible. I mean, that's a story for every nonprofit and every business, right? And we've been fortunate to have an amazing community here in Albuquerque that's been able to really uplift the work that we do and make it possible, and to make it possible for 10 years.
That's crazy. So whenever you look at, I mean, so you have, all these veterans that are needing. Now, is there a spectrum of veterans? Like for instance, let's say, 15 years ago when I had got out, I mean, I got a job, was fully functioning and stuff like that. It wasn't my, if you want to say my brain injuries or whatever, wasn't that extensive to the point to where, I was, 100% disabled or anything like that.
Mhm.
But, do you have programs for like if somebody wanted to come in and they were kind of looking at getting a dog, or is there books on that? Like what if like for veterans, how would that work? Because I go to the dog park every day, and over here I live right near the Baca Dominga dog park, which is really big. And I don't know how many guys I see with dogs. I mean, and just just a ton of them, especially in the morning time. There's like a whole morning crew of like 65 and older dudes, and they got their dogs with them. But yeah, it's really cool. But is there how is the process? Are you guys having to just like limit it to people that are, have severe damage, or what is that process like?
So we don't actually evaluate the severity of the brain injury, or we'll assess readiness, we'll assess support systems, and a lot of other things that are happening in this veteran's life to basically determine readiness, and that to make sure that this particular model is appropriate and fits the needs of what this individual coming to us is asking for. But we really just require that they have been to the VA and have been diagnosed by the VA with a brain injury and or post-traumatic stress disorder, which
Right.
if they can be due to combat experiences, it could be due to sexual trauma, right? A lot of other things. But as long as we have seen that the VA has evaluated and made those diagnoses, then we know that they've kind of already gone through the gambit of testing and poking and prodding and all of that. So we don't want to put them through that again. But we do other sort of intake evaluations. We look at, background checks, want to make sure that if there are issues with addiction, do we need to talk about substance abuse? What's their support system look like? What is their ability to commit? Because when you enroll in our program, it's not like your service dog your traditional service dog program where we take a dog, we train it, and then we pair you up, and then you spend a little bit of time and then send you on your way. Instead, we enroll the veteran for usually around a year. And during that during that year, it's like enrolling in a university program. They're committed to anywhere from 3 to 5 weekly sessions of some sort, which includes various types of training in group and individual settings, on and off site. And it includes workshops that involve various therapeutic modalities, art therapy, mindfulness, psych education, communication skills. And also we have them do individual therapy, usually with our providers on site. But we do allow, if they have someone they're already seeing, they can continue doing so. And then our providers just communicate with them to make sure that we're kind of providing the adequate continuity of care for them.
That makes sense. Yeah, because one of the things that I saw when everyone got out, that I don't know how many people I know from the Marine Corps that's committed suicide, which was horrific. And then I think about that, it's like, and then I there was a book that was out with the dog that helped capture Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. But I listened to a podcast with that guy, and, he had alcohol abuse and stuff like that, Navy SEAL. And he said, literally, the dog saved my life, like not just in combat, but afterwards, he ended up being able to adopt the dog after he got out. And he's like, if I wouldn't have had the dog with me, during this time that I was suffering, transitioning out of the military, he's like, I don't know where I would have been, because, and that's something, I know, is there any way where there's, like with the transition, like if like let's say a guy that has PTSD or something like that, because I know you said your program's like a year long. Is there books or classes or something if somebody's looking at, maybe they just got the military and they're looking at, getting a dog for companionship or whatever? How does that play out? Is there anything available for somebody that is in that may not, need a year?
Right. So I'm actually glad you asked that. We have on our website, we have a resource page for family members or former service members that are looking for different resources, whether it's transition or pursuing some sort of adoption of a dog just to have a companion animal. And that's been helpful to some degree, but we need to do more. And one of the things that we really try to emphasize is being a navigator for people that come to us in search of aid, even if they don't necessarily feel they're the right fit for our year-long intensive service dog program, or maybe they're not ready for it. So we try to connect them with other resources in the community and be a little more active about it. We have books that we can recommend to them, but we tend to err on the side of connecting them to community resources because we feel like that community aspect is really important.
Right.
But in the conversation of, what if the year-long service dog program isn't the best fit, but there is another way dogs could be a part of healing for them, or another way to help them transition. We, of course, the pandemic put a little bit of a wrench in this plan, but the idea that we wanted to roll out for sort of the next step of what Paws is trying to do is to create a more like a truncated version of the program that we have been implementing for 10 years that provides essentially animal-assisted therapy through the use of a companion animal. So not training a service dog, but focusing on the peer support, psych education, and mental health piece, and the dog being sort of the bridge there and accompanying them through the healing process for a much shorter period of time.
Right.
Which is something that we aim to pilot as soon as safe to do so. We were I think a week out from the pilot when down. Yeah. So, and it is what it is. We're agile, if anything. So we'll figure it out one way or another. But obviously everyone's safety is the priority. But absolutely, there has to be some sort of, if there's a way that we can create another option for more veterans that can get plugged into this network we've created of graduates and clients and their families, and also just having the access to the psych ed and that therapeutic aspect is really fundamental in all of this to make it's the glue that makes it work.
Yeah, because it's like it would have been neat to, for myself. I'm just thinking of, me. I don't need a service dog. I just have two regular dogs. But it'd have been nice to have like a class or something. I could have gone, or maybe had brought the dog and to a park or something, and had like a conversation with someone. It would have been kind of cool, to know that, and then understand like the healing aspects. I don't think a lot of people understand how a dog can assist in the healing. And that's something I want to get into, because I want to be respectful of your time. I could talk to you for hours on this, but no, I really, I do. I love this stuff. So the deep healing power, like you talk about, with rescue dogs, it's kind of like, and it just seems so cool to me. It's like this pairing of this rescue dog, and then you've got this veteran that's hurting. What is that aspect of it? What were you seeing when you because you guys have helped hundreds of individuals. What are you seeing when you're pairing them together?
It's one of those things that when you don't experience it, it's almost as if just words don't do it justice.
Right.
And so I will definitely do my best, but I mean, we've had people describe it as the love at first sight aspect, the magic moment, fireworks moment, all of that. But truly what I think it comes down to, what I see is this coming together of kindred spirits and this sort of instant recognition of each other from this like real visceral place that is beyond your typical relationship with a person, or maybe a pet that you had as a kid, right? We all have, well, I assume most of us at least have probably some sort of story about a pet that was really important to us in our life.
Right.
In my case, many. But there's just, when you set up these selections where we bring these dogs, because we do screen canine candidates specifically appropriate for the needs of the individual that is looking for a dog. So we do individualize the pool of dogs that we introduce them to. And you'll see them have various interactions with different dogs. But when they meet their dog, it's just this really raw, really moving moment where they just see each other and they fully see each other. And everything's just okay. It's almost like the water in the ocean is, there's waves crashing down and there's a lot going on, but then the dog comes in and everything is calm and still and good. You watch their shoulders drop down and relax. They're actually smiling. They're breathing, their face. Right. They're not tapping their leg. They're actually like relaxed and sunk into this experience with the dog. And it's as if the other people in the room just kind of disappear. So it's an amazing thing to see. And we really, really, really believe in building on that very moment for the entirety of their program, because that relationship that starts at that point is the foundation of what we build from that point forward. And that foundation supports a bridge into this whole new quality of life and helps them reconnect with their families, reconnect with their communities, their kids. It's a powerful thing that really springs forth this healing aspect that therapy does a lot, right? But therapy's not perfect. It doesn't accomplish everything. A service dog doesn't accomplish everything. But when you kind of fuse these pieces together, you see a higher rate of success and just the longevity to a higher quality of life that it's pretty amazing. And we never get tired of seeing it, truly.
Oh no, I could imagine that would probably be I watched that it was like a warrior. I think Channing Tatum actually did it. I don't know if you saw it or not. It was on HBO. And it was about the special forces dogs.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. Channing Tatum did it. I always think of Magic Mike or whatever.
Poor guy. He'll never.
I know. Yeah. So I always think of that. But then it's a director. But so you had these like super badass Delta Force, Navy SEALs, Marine Corps dudes, all that. These really like super elite, and they're sharing these stories about how these dogs became a part of their team, and they treated them just like they put they put them in a casket and drape a flag. They put plaques up on the wall just where they next to the men, with their names and stuff. And so I was watching that, and these guys, these are the elite of the elite. They're bawling like babies. And I'm like, oh, Lord, this is horrific. So I could imagine seeing something like that would probably be extremely emotional. And then watching that healing process happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's pretty cool too, to see the way that these men and women are when they graduate, and thinking back to the different version of themselves that initially walked through our doors. That's the stuff that brings us to work every day. That's the stuff that makes us more than a job for our entire team. And it's also the thing that bonds us as a team, and why family is one of our core values, because we really have to be a tight team that works together with the best synergy possible, because of the real profound changes that are happening in these men and women's lives, and the support they need for that. But being a part of that is it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, truly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. For me, it seems like it would be, because so like mental health treatment plans. So you actually have in this year process, not only are you educating and they're bringing the dog with them and they're doing training and stuff. Are they mental health providers, and they're moving to you guys to get that with the dog?
So our program incorporates, as one of the pillars of our modality that we've created, is there's a curriculum, a training curriculum. There's this reintegration piece to reintegrate them into their communities, and mental health support. And mental health support is, like I said before, that glue that holds it all together. And it fills in what the dog's direct service can't, by helping them sort of navigate. Because if you think about it, you give a veteran a dog. They've been fairly isolated for, say, 3, 5, 7 years. They don't go to Walmart. They don't go out and do stuff with their families. When they do, they hate it. They're agitated, incredibly hypervigilant. It's really difficult. Nothing enjoyable about it. And now we're saying, hi, not only are we going to give you a dog that you are going to work hand in hand with a trainer to train, but you're going to have to do it in these settings you've been avoiding for years. And while you do it, the public is going to stare at you, and they're going to point at you, and they're going to try to come up to you and ask questions about your dog, and they're not going to violate your personal space. It's really challenging. And it incorporates the whole premise of what we're doing, incorporates the concept of exposure therapy, where we're easing them into exposing them to these situations that they have been avoiding for so long, and that they've developed a deep fear, resentment, or difficulty navigating. So not only are they experiencing in small bites, right? We ease them in, but we have to do it alongside them. So we have to ensure that we're providing support, both literally in the moment when we're training in those sessions, and also after the fact through mental health. So we can help them process what's happening and navigate that whole journey for them, so that it isn't something that causes damage. We want to make sure that it's a positive nudge, right? We want to challenge them. We don't want to hurt them. So we need the mental health part, not just to educate them, but also to make sure that they're getting that treatment that they need in the process.
So are you telling me that people will walk up to somebody with a service dog and start asking questions?
Are you being facetious or serious? Because
no. I hope, here's what I want, Lindsey. I want you guys to train the dogs to bite the Karens.
I feel like that would be frowned upon. We might have a hard time with that.
I've been having so much fun on Twitter watching all the Karen videos. And that's what I picture. I picture somebody walking up there, and then saying, "Oh, da 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 da," and it's like, "What? Mind your own business." I'm struggling just to try to make it here to Walmart. That seems. I wouldn't. I see. That's why I love having you on, and I hope people that listen don't do that. That's the dumbest thing you could ever do. That's horrific. Somebody's struggling to try to get to there. They're relying on the dog for support, and then you're going to get in their space.
Oh yeah.
So you have to train on that.
Our trainers are remarkable because they have to navigate working in a public space to teach the client to work with their dog, whatever the thing is they're working on, right? And also work as a buffer against the public at the same time. And that's juggling a lot of balls at one time, because I mean, and I don't go obviously on all the sessions, but when I do go on sessions, I can't, it's the minority of those, the small amount of those that I actually don't experience public interrupting a session. It's usually the status quo. So whether they're going out and practicing or they're doing a session out in public with one of our trainers, I mean, people will stop, they'll walk right in between the trainer and right up to the individual, immediately go and start trying to pet the dog. Don't ask. They'll ask them, well, you look fine. What's wrong with you? Why do you
Lord.
I mean, the level of like invasiveness is really, it happens a lot. So it's really hard. So they're experiencing this additional layer of fishbowl syndrome on top of, all of the other reasons why they came to us in the first place. Right.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. So like when you look at Paws and Stripes, what are what is your guys' biggest needs right now?
Oh man.
I know money. I know that's one, but like of course we need money. We want to expand and we got these new programs we're trying to roll out. But what specifically, like money wise, and then what do you need? And then can you talk a little bit about the building that you got?
Sure. The first thing, of course, that comes to mind, everyone knows is funds. But, I feel like I have to just mention that, even though it seems like the obvious answer, because especially right now with businesses really taking a hard hit from COVID-19, people really being stressed out, all of the social injustice that we have been witnessing, and that is like, we're seeing this global uprising against that. There's a lot going on in the world, and that impacts a lot of organizations' fundraising that we would normally see. So we've established a perseverance fund to raise money, basically to ensure the long-term sustainability of the organization, so that we can weather this storm with everybody else, to make sure that we don't have to disrupt services for our clients. The other thing is so just keep this in mind. A lot of people are really upset and struggling because they're stuck at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the absolute reality for so many veterans before they come to our program. They are stuck at home because they are terrified to leave their houses, and they are forced into isolation because of the trauma that they've experienced, because of the limitations that might be have presented themselves from their brain injury. And now we have even graduates who are struggling because they did manage to break out of isolation, but now we are all forced back into it. So it is incredibly difficult. If you are upset because you want to go get your hair cut, some of our clients are struggling because this is the place that they were before they came into the program, when they were contemplating killing themselves. So one of the things that we've had to do is really up the ante in terms of support and mental health and workshops. A lot of this is virtual, obviously, but even to be able to deliver dog food to our clients so they don't have to go out into the store. If we have a lot of clients that are considered high risk for COVID-19, so they don't have the luxury of leaving very often, but being able to do that, we have a client that had a baby recently. So to be able to bring her meals, we're doing additional things to support the in the moment needs of our clients. So when people can donate things like dog food or dog treats, even just like DoorDash, Grubhub gift cards for some of our clients, it helps alleviate the already, heightened anxiety in the world right now, but that added layer of, having PTSD and all of that, just the smallest reprievals go a really long way. So we're kind of asking for even little things like that to be able to provide to our clients right now.
Yeah, and I know little things, and something I had done a few months back was you can go on Amazon, and I don't know if people realize this, especially on your business accounts. I have a business account. You can go on there and do Amazon Smile, and you guys, I know you guys are set up for it because I have it on my Amazon. And everything that you buy on Amazon, they give a small percentage to you guys if you set it up. So, and it's free to do. And you, as you normally purchase stuff on Amazon, you just purchase it and it'll say, it'll say Paws and Stripes on there. You can look them up. Very, very simple to do it. And you just have to type into Google Amazon Smiles. And that's a way to help support you guys too. So like right now with COVID and everything going on, there's like an extra layer of things that you're having to do. As we move past, I don't know if we'll ever move past it, but as we move, where things are opening up more and you guys will probably be, fully functional and stuff like that. What programs are you looking at that need to be funded? What is, what are you looking at future wise for 2021?
Future wise, to be able to bolster existing programs with the option of this new pilot program that we want to try to launch as soon as we can, it would increase the rate of adoptions to veterans. It would increase the number of veterans that we're able to access and provide services for, and just even receiving funding to ensure that, obviously we have to finish the pilot for that. But I would say in 2021, assuming that it, we've worked through all those kinks and we know how it needs to function, to receive funding to support that aspect of the program as well as the service dog program, I think could be a really powerful evolution for our mission.
No, I love that. And I always encourage people, because, businesses, they'll give a little bit here and there to different organizations and stuff like that. Yeah. But one of the things that I've always seen in healthy organizations with great culture is when you get behind something. So, if a CEO or a manager or whoever it may be that's influential in the organization can hopefully, pick you guys, but pick an organization, not-for-profit organization, and say, hey guys, we're going to donate this percentage. If we hit these marks, we're going to do this, and if they really champion it, it will create, people want to work for more than just money and going to work 9 to 5. Absolutely. So when you have something that is, that's tangible that you can work towards, and that's a great goal and that you're giving to, it helps out tremendously. And I think and I know I have a ton of business leaders that listen to this. If you're a business leader and you're looking at an organization, and you guys have been around for a long time, here locally, if you're looking for an organization that can, that you can get behind and support, I would encourage you guys to get behind it. How would they be able to, what if they want to get more information, with your guys' website and stuff like that? Or what's the best way to contact somebody if they want to donate and stuff like that?
So our phones are still moving. We're all still operating, even though we're sequestered and doing so remotely. Our main number is 505-999-1201, and we can connect you if you have an idea about something that your company wants to do or you want to do as an individual, and we can connect you with our development coordinator to work that out. You can also donate directly on the website. Or share the website so that people can learn more about the organization and what we do. We also have a pretty robust social media following. So we ask everybody like us on Facebook and follow us on Facebook, because we'll post fun things, we'll post educational things, but we'll also keep you updated on the goings on of Paws. Just like yesterday, we were celebrating kind of quietly because, like I said, there's a lot going on in the world, but celebrated the fact that we're 10 now. Which is pretty neat because you get to see, everyone sort of gets to be a part of what's going on with our teams. We want to share pictures of new pairings and things that our dogs are doing, which is really cool. So that helps you stay engaged and stay informed. And there's also a page on our website, Ways to Give, and it gives you a lot of different options for different ways that you can support the organization, either through volunteerism, things like Amazon Smile, employee giving programs, United Way, or just outright donating things or funds.
So one of the things that I get from you guys is the email. So you guys, I think it's like once a week or every 2 weeks or something. I see you might get an email from you guys.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That's another way to stay connected as well. So we try to let you guys know about events that might be coming up, or right now we're doing a virtual art auction where we have local artists that are creating pieces of art specifically for Paws on our birthday. I'm actually going to be doing at least one piece to auction.
So you're an artist?
Yes. I in my my former life, I was in school for art. So I have been convinced by my amazing team that I need to throw my hat in the ring and create something for this occasion as well. So that'll be fun. And we'll be posting that on social media and raising money for our birthday. But it's also just neat because we get to celebrate our local artists because as you know, New Mexico has some pretty amazing artists.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, Lindsey. I loved having you on. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while. I appreciate everything that you're doing. I would love for my audience to get behind you fully. And I hope that they do. They can go to www.pawsandstripes.org. And I love your guys', you got the flag on there, you got a paw, it's Paws and Stripes, helping dogs, helping heroes. Just amazing. In the show notes of the podcast, we'll be sending out an email blast too, and I'll be putting all the links and stuff like that for you guys to donate. And if you don't have the funds to donate, dog food, Uber cards, like you said, all those things are essential. And you had said there's a ways to give page that they can go to and see how they can give. And I always encourage people, even in times of crisis like this, don't be selfish. You know, there's a way that you can give. So I think and Amazon's up like 600% during this time.
I know. It's true.
So the Amazon Smile, guys, you guys can go on there and donate a percentage of your, it doesn't cost you anything. Amazon automatically just sends it to you guys. So that would be a way to get behind them also. But Lindsey, I appreciate all that you're doing. I know it's been 10 crazy years in the organization, and I'm super excited about the new thing that you're going to pilot out. I think that there's a ton of rescue dogs out there, and there's a ton of vets that are transitioning out of the military, and that's something that helped save me. So I know that there's a lot of vets that are out there that need this therapy. So something that new pilot program that you're coming out with, that would be awesome. And I hope that there are people out there that will donate to you so that you guys can get that up and running.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about it too.
Well, perfect. Well, thanks, Lindsey. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to ABQPodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.